Good day, lords and ladies. Kagan Crow here. I started off in Warhammer with the tail end of 5th edition, and my first army was the Wood Elves. I've been playing Wood Elves ever since, for about a quarter century now, so I've got a long history with them, and I've got some opinions about this new Arcane Journal. We're going to start off with everything in order as it appears in the Arcane Journal. The first one being Orion's Wild Hunt. This was probably the biggest disappointment for me in the entire Arcane Journal. We're starting off with a really big negative. The characters are fine, I don't have any problems with those. The core units, you only have two options: Wild Riders, which you obviously would, and Glade Riders, which not very surprising either. But something I feel like they really missed out on, the Meadow Chariot. This was way back in 5th edition, it hasn't been in the game for a long time, but they're bringing back a lot of really old things that we haven't seen since 4th and 5th edition. I thought for a certainty this was going to be coming back, and it's completely absent from this Arcane Journal. I wasn't expecting it to be great, but I was expecting it to be here. Something else I was a little disappointed about was in Total War Warhammer, you can get an entire unit of not only the Wild Riders, but they're on the Great Stags. And I thought there was a chance, I wasn't sure if it was likely or not, but I thought there was a chance we would see that here. Unfortunately, we didn't. Something else I was really hoping to see, but we didn't see, I wasn't too surprised though, was Centaurs. I don't think they've been around since 3rd edition? Maybe 4th? I'm pretty sure it was 3rd edition they were last seen. The reason why I thought Centaurs were a possibility is in one of the updates that they had sent out before the Old World was released. They had hinted at Centaurs. I thought it was a possibility, but in that same article they also hinted at half-orcs, and those clearly haven't been a thing, but we didn't see it. Like, the whole Orion's Wild Hunt thing, I'll probably do it just because I'm an Orion fanboy. He's one of my favorite special characters to field regardless of the edition. Even when he's overcosted, I just thought he was so cool I would take him anyways. So I'll probably end up playing this Army of Infamy, but I'm not expecting to like it as much as I was hoping to. Maybe I just set my hopes a little bit. The next Army of Infamy is the Host of Tal Sin. I know a lot of people online have really hated this because it's a very infantry-heavy army, and infantry aren't very good right now. There's supposed to be an update coming out to make infantry a bit better, but for now, infantry aren't that great. I usually field a lot of infantry anyways. I don't really chase the meta a whole lot, so I wasn't quite as upset about this army. A lot of the choices you have are pretty good, but the problem you have with this army and the last Army of Infamy is you don't get to take a level 4 wizard. Level 2 wizards only, and that's a really big dampener. Something else that really shocks me about both of these Armies of Infamy: no allies, no mercenaries. Mercenaries I would have liked to see for Orion, maybe questing knights or something. That would have been a cavalry choice, gives you a bit of a different heavy hitter. I know a lot of people don't like them and think that they cost too much for what they do, but I still think they're a fantastic unit. In the Host of Tal Sin, mercenaries I may have liked to have seen were maybe some High Elves possibly, maybe an Empire unit, just a little bit more than what we got. It feels like they really reined it in. Wood Elves kind of got the short end of the stick, pun intended, for both of these Armies of Infamy. But I do like this Host of Tal Sin army a little bit more. One of the bigger problems I have with it is you have to take a unit of Eternal Guard, and then you have an option of taking a better unit of Eternal Guard as a special choice. These guys are called the Guardians of Tal Sin. Why would I take Eternal Guard when I could take these guys? Although I suppose they are quite a few more points, so maybe it's just a personal preference. The special rules for them, I don't think are really anything to write home about. Probably one of the cooler ones, you get Hatred against Beastmen Brayherds. I might take this army purely for that reason. I have a couple of friends that play Beastmen, and I'll be able to finally get use of the Hatred, because there's not a whole lot of things that have Hatred in this edition of Warhammer Fantasy. Now we're going on to the special characters. First one, Orion the King of the Woods. I think everybody was expecting this guy to be in this Arcane Journal. He's been in every edition of the game. He's a very unique special character. He's unlike anything else in the Arcane Journal, and I think he's just fantastic. A lot of people have pointed out that he's pretty expensive for what he does. I really like him. The Spectral Hounds are actually worth taking more than in previous editions of the game. They have Ethereal now, so it's a little harder just to kill them off. Orion no longer has Unstable, so one round of combat isn't going to take him out. This guy's got a high movement, high weapon skill, high strength, toughness, wounds, attacks, leadership. He's got everything that you're going to want in a melee character. Plus, he can even attack with ranged weapons. With how high his ballistic skill is, he's always going to be hitting on a 2+. You can either throw his spear and have it act like a bolt thrower, which is just fantastic for something like this. Or, if you want, you can also use Hawk's Talon, which is his bow. He also has a Cloak of Isha, which gives him a 5-up ward save. Plus, at the beginning of every start of turn subphase, You roll a d6 on a 5+, you recover a wound lost earlier in the battle. If you're rolling hot, it's going to be really hard to kill this guy. I think he's really good. He's pretty much exactly what I wanted, and I'm fine with paying 455 points for Orion. The next special character we have, I was a little disappointed initially when I saw this, Eroloth, Lord of Talcin. He was in the 8th edition book, and in 8th edition he was so useless. As far as I was concerned, inferior to a regular Glade Lord, and he didn't bring anything fancy to the table, or at least nothing in a reliable way. In this, he's an extra 35 points compared to a Glade Lord, and you get an extra weapon skill, 2 extra initiative, you get Boldest of the Bold, which means that you ignore all negative modifiers to leadership characteristics. That might not come into effect every game, but there's going to be a few times where this is really going to save your butt. He has Favor of the Goddess, giving him a 5+ ward save, and Skarn the Eye Thief, which used to be really useless in 8th edition, is now actually a fantastic addition to his character, and something that really makes it worth taking. Also, something else, as a side note, this is the only Wood Elf special character that I think has ever had heavy armor. Skarn the Eye Thief, during the command sub-phase, you roll a d6. On a 1 or 2, nothing happens, but on a 3+, nominate an enemy model within 18 inches, and he gets hit with a Strength 4 AP -1 attack. If he suffers an unsaved wound from that, this is where it becomes really good. -D3 to weapon skill and initiative for the remainder of the game. That is a huge thing. You know, it's not going to go off every single time, but there's nothing in here that says that it can't affect a model multiple times. So this could be really good for targeting out characters, even wizards and units. A new kind of character for the Host of Talcin are the Wardens of Talcin. Compared to a regular Glade Lord, these guys have 2 less ballistic skill and 1 less leadership, and they're 10 points cheaper. I think that's a worthwhile trade-off. Just stay with me here. You also gain Parry. This is the first time that we've seen Parry in this edition of the game. If you're using a hand weapon shield, or with these guys, an Azrai Spear and Shield, you improve your armor save by 1. You also have Courage Beyond Compare. Any unit that he joins becomes immune to psychology. A really nice bonus. I think these guys are really worth taking, plus they can also be your BSB. In the Host of Talcin, a Lord character can be a BSB, giving him a little bit of extra durability. He can take up to 75 points of magic items. Really good. I like this. A new kind of unit for the Host of Talcin are the Guardians of Talcin. These guys are pretty much the same as Eternal Guard, with a couple of upgrades. They have 2 attacks instead of the regular 1 attack. They still have martial prowess, so you can attack with supporting attacks to the flank or rear with your spears, but this entire unit also has parry. So if you give them the shields, light weapon, and the parry, that's a 4-up save. For Wood Elves, this is about as good as you're ever going to get. So another kind of unit that I was a little bit surprised to see, I wasn't disappointed by any means, like this, it's kind of an okay addition, is the Wood Elf Beast Packs. So you take a Beastmaster, 1 or more. There's no limit to how many of the elves you can take for the Beastmasters, but then you get to take one of the following: Deepwood Hounds, Forest Cats, Sylvan Boars, or Bear of Lorne. These each have their pros and cons. I don't think that they're like really great, but they're not terrible. I only really think they're worth taking if you have these, or if you just kind of like the idea. If you're a competitive player, I don't think they're really that great, although they could be good at war machine hunting or something like that. Next we have the Kindreds. The Kindreds I thought were a really good addition. We didn't have this in 8th edition. Last time we had this was 6th edition. I was a little surprised to see these make a comeback, but I was very pleased to see this. You have the Aspect of the Hound. A character that adopts this aspect and joins the unit can reroll natural 1s to hit in the combat phase. The entire unit benefits from this, and I think for 20 points, this is a really good thing to take. But the next thing is just so good, it kind of overshadows everything else in the Alter Kindred section. Aspect of the Bear, +1 strength and +1 toughness. Infantry and cavalry characters only. +1 strength and +1 toughness for 15 points. It's just unbelievably good. Elven characters getting +1 toughness is really hard to come by, and the fact that this is so cheap, if it was 15 points for just +1 toughness, this would be really good to take just for that, but you also gain a strength. Aspect of the Boar gives you armor piercing 1 on the charge, and also impact hits 1 for 10 points. That's okay. Aspect of the Cat for 10 points. You gain Armor Bane 1 special rule. I don't really care about Armor Bane. Nothing is ever going to convince me that it's worth the amount of points that GW thinks it is. But you also get to reroll hits during a challenge. That's pretty good. If you're building a challenge-based character, it might be worth taking that. But like I said, like everything in here is just kind of overshadowed by how good the aspect of the bear is. Now we're in the Noble Kindreds. The Glamour Weave Kindred is really good for 25 points. It can only be taken by your mages. It gives them a 5+ ward save and the Tree Spirit special rule. This is really nice if you just want to give them a cost-effective ward save and have them on their own, or you can stick them with a unit of Dryads, or you can even put them on a Unicorn and stick them in with your Treekin just to make sure there's a little bit more durability. I think this is worth it. I'll probably take this for a few of my wizards. The Eternal Kindred, he and the entire unit he is with can reroll natural ones to hit during the combat phase. In addition, he can reroll any failed rolls to wound during the combat phase when he's within 6 inches of a special feature. I'm not exactly sure what the special features are. It's not very clear what that is. I think that's something that's probably going to come up again very near in the future when they do like a next big update or General's Handbook or something. Wild Rider Kindred for 20 points can be applied to nobles only. You can only be on an Elven Steed or a Great Stag, wear light armor. In addition, you gain Countercharge, Frenzy, Furious Charge, and Talismanic Tattoos. For 20 points, I think this is pretty good. I'm going to be taking a lot of lords on Great Stags, and I'm just going to have them charge in, give them impact hits, kill everything. Scout Kindred for 15 points, infantry only. This gives you the Scout and Quick Shot ability. This would be really good if you want to have a character or a wizard just kind of deploy with a Scout unit. I'll probably be doing this on wizards a lot just to have wizards with my Deepwood Scouts. This will allow me to deploy nice and close to the enemy along with my Scout unit, and then I can start hitting them with all those short range spells that I usually have to wait till the second or third turn to cast. Now we're in the Lore of the Wilds. Oh, wild! This signature spell, Swirling Mist, is really good. I think this is a signature spell I'm going to be taking quite often until your next start of turn sub-phase. Enemy models that direct shooting attacks at the caster or the unit they are in must reroll 6s to hit. If I have a wizard that has a Scout Kindred, they already have -1 to hit me, so they're going to be hitting on 5s or 6s usually. This is going to make it so that unit is not a very tantalizing target to shoot at, and it's going to make them be really ignored, giving me more opportunities to cast more offensive spells. Fury of Aethel Lorn gives you D3+1 Strength 6 hits, with an AP of -2, multiple wounds 2 special rule. This is unbelievably good. This is good against almost every kind of target. Cavalry, monsters, chariots, infantry. This is going to hit anything hard. Very good spell. I love it. Ariel's Blessing. Until your next start of turn subphase, the target friendly unit gets a 5+ regeneration rule. Once again, really good. Wood Elves don't have a whole lot of armor. Giving anything that is a regen or a ward is really helpful. Spiteful Torrent. This is a remain in play magical vortex. Small template, 3 inches. Place it within 15 inches of the caster. At the beginning of every start of turn subphase, it moves d6 inches in a random direction. If a unit is hit, friend, foe, doesn't matter. It suffers 3d6 strength 2 hits, AP -1. That is absolutely huge. You're almost guaranteed to do a few wounds to whatever you're hitting. Even if it's something high toughness, this is gonna, do a couple of wounds to them, whether it's monsters or just an infantry unit. I think like a basic infantry unit like Empire State Troops, this would absolutely shred them, and it would be a pretty big threat to them. Durthu's Wrath is an assailment spell. Each model on the fighting rank of a unit with the caster must immediately make an initiative test. Each model that fails suffers D3 hits, strength 4. No armor saves permitted. This is so good. Oh my gosh, like if somebody does Line Hammer, this is gonna kill that Line Hammer. Hidden Pathways. Until your start of turn subphase, the target friendly unit gains a reserve move special rule and quick turn, even if it would not normally be allowed to do so. I think this is quite nice. There's a few units we already have that have reserve move. A lot of our stuff has open order, which gives us quick turn, but this allows you to turn in situations where you normally wouldn't. Or if you don't want to spend those extra points on reserve move, you can just cast this. Sapping Blight. Until your next start of turn subphase, the enemy unit suffers -D3 to their strength. This is so good. This is such a good spell. Really effective for combat, even effective for some ranged things such as throwing axes, javelins, or war bows, which use the strength of the user. This can really nerf a lot of units. Probably the best spell in the lore, but this entire lore is just absolutely fantastic. I love it. Definitely the best part of this book. Now we're into the magic items. Magic items are, on a whole, these things are okay, My biggest disappointment with magic items is that there is no Spirit Sword. Spirit Sword has been a very signature weapon for the Wood Elves. It's been around for a long time, and I thought for a certainty it was going to be in here when it wasn't in the Forces of Fantasy book. But let's talk about the stuff that we did get. Val's Wrath. It is a bow that gives you +1 strength, -2 AP, flaming attacks, magical attacks, and multiple wounds too. Once per game, you can use it like a bolt thrower with a through and through special rule. This is okay. I think it's worth taking. I might take it occasionally, but as somebody online pointed out to me, the High Elves do have a better version of this with the Seafarer's bow, and it's 5 points cheaper. Kind of disappointing that this is a little bit more and not quite as good as that. But like this is still okay. I don't think it's too disappointing at all. Daith's Reaper, +1 strength, -1 AP, magical attacks. Enemy models must re-roll successful armor saves caused by this. I think this is pretty good. I really like this item. Not as good as it was in 8th edition, but in 8th edition it was way too good. So this is a little bit more balanced. I'm okay with it. I like this. Hunt Master's Pride. This is a spear that gives magical attacks and multiple wounds too. It can only be taken in an Orion Wild Hunt army. The multiple wounds 2 special rule only applies to models whose troop type is monstrous infantry, monstrous cavalry, monstrous creature, or behemoths. Blades of the Endless Flame. Strength as user, AP -1. Extra attacks 1, flaming attacks, magical attacks. It's okay, but for 25 points, I think it's alright. I think it's worth its points. I might take it occasionally, but not all the time. Mantle of Rebirth counts as a suit of light armor. In addition, you gain the 5+ regen. I don't think that's that great for 40 points. Just giving you a 5+ regen and a 6+ armor. I don't know if I'll ever take that. Cloak of the Tumbling Leaves for 30 points. Models troop type, regular infantry, heavy infantry only. Cloak of the Tumbling Leaves is a suit of light armor. It gives you fly 10, swift stride special rule. However, the wearer cannot join a unit. I think this is worth it. I might take it occasionally, but I am a little interested to know why it says heavy infantry only. I had to take a look through the book, and I didn't see any heavy infantry that the Wood Elves currently have. So maybe they're taking into account possible future additions to the Wood Elf roster. Who knows? Ariel's Favor for 30 points. The bearer and the unit has magic resistance -2 special rule. I think that's okay. I'll probably take that occasionally. Magic resistance is a really good deterrent if you don't want people casting spells on a unit. Orion's Favor for 25 points, single use. The bearer of Orion's Favor can reroll all failed rolls to hit or to wound made during the combat phase. Really good, very much like the Paymaster's Coin, I believe, for also 25 points, but this allows you to do to hits and to wound, not just to hits. Very much worth it. I've taken the Paymaster's Coin before, and it saved me. I'll probably be taking this before the Paymaster's Coin, but the Paymaster's Coin is also extremely common. For Magic Standards, we have the Tapestry of Talsin, Battle Standard Bearer of a Host of Talsin, Army of Infamy only. A model carrying the Tapestry of Talsin increases their command range to 18 inches. In addition, friendly units within the command range improve their leadership characteristic by 1. For 80 points, I really don't think that's worth it. I would have said 50 points at absolute most. 80 points, I'm never going to take this. Banner of the Wild Hunt for 25 points. Banner of the Wild Hunt can only be taken by models in the Orion Wild Hunt Army of Infamy. While calculating its combat results, you gain +1 to combat res, plus you can reroll pursuit rolls. Very much worth taking. This is like the War Banner with a little extra spice. I'll be taking this every time I take Orion's Wild Hunt of Army of Infamy, which won't be that often since that Army of Infamy is terrible. Standard of the Morning Chill for 25 points. The Standard Morning of Chill can give the Swirling Mist spell. That's one where people have to reroll 6s when they're rolling to hit you with a ranged attack. I think that's really good. Power level 2. I think that's worth taking. I won't take it all the time, but I'll take that one occasionally for sure. Banner of the Springtide. A unit carrying this banner gains the Quick Shot special rule for 20 points. Maybe worth taking occasionally, kind of depending on what I want to do. You can give this to a Deepwood Scout unit, which I believe can still take standards. And that might be like another good deterrent to have people not shoot at them. It's just another way to get people to leave you alone so you can still harass them. For enchanted items, we have the Crown of Antlers for 35 points. Gives you Armor Bane 1. I don't care about Armor Bane, but it gives you impact hits of D3 special rule and armor piercing -2. I think it's worth taking for that. If you take the aspect of the boar, and you're also riding a great stag, that's going to be 2d3 + 1 impact hits. And since we didn't get that metal chariot, I'm just looking for ways to get impact hits. I'm going to be taking this quite often, and I'm going to be putting it with my Wild Riders all the time. Moonstone of the Hidden Way for 30 points, single use only. The wearer of the Moonstone of the Hidden Ways can cast a Forest Walker special rule with a power level of 3. I think that's okay. I won't take that a whole lot. Maybe take it occasionally. 30 points, maybe a little much, but I don't think it's disappointing by any means. Blight-tipped arrows for 15 points. Single use. This is an extremely common item. Models with Azrael longbow only. Blight-tipped arrows can be fired as normal from the Azrael longbow. If the enemy model suffers an unsaved wound from the blight-tipped arrow, at the beginning of each subsequent start of turn subphase, that model must make a toughness test. If the test is failed, the model immediately suffers a single wound with no armor saves or regeneration saves permitted. For 15 points, I think this is pretty good, and you can take multiple. Like, this is especially good if you ever take a Waystalker, and you want to try and snipe out somebody's wizard who's trying to stay nice and close to someone else so that it can be protected. You can single them out, and for 15 points, it's going to make their wizard feel a lot more threat. For arcane items, I think this is the last that we have to go through. It's Orb of Midsummer. Once per turn, the bearer of the Orb of Midsummer may reroll a casting roll for 35 points. That's pretty good. I like that. I'll be taking that. Heartwood Pendant for 15 points. This is also an extremely common item. This allows you to cast spells from the lore of the wilds. For 15 points, I think that's great. I'm going to be taking this in almost all of my armies because it is in my... Currently, I haven't used it, but it looks like it's going to be my all-time favorite lore to cast spells from, so I'm going to take that. Sigil of the Mage Queen. Single use. The bearer of the Sigil of the Mage Queen may use this before making a casting roll. If they do so, add +2 to the casting roll. 25 points to get a one-time use of +2 to casting. I don't think that's worth it. I'm never going to take that. So this Arcane Journal, overall, kind of a mixed bag for me. The new spell lore, fantastic, by far the best thing. Magic items, kind of like every other Arcane Journal so far, it's been hit and miss. Some good items, some bad items. Overall, it's alright. Special characters, overall pretty good. I'm not too disappointed in those at all. Armies of Infamy is the biggest thing that I'm really upset about. Worst thing in the Arcane Journal. I don't know what they were thinking. Maybe they were just too afraid of making Wood Elves too powerful and with the power creep and decided to, pull everything in and, they kind of pulled it in a little too hard in my opinion. But I haven't played any of these yet. So I'm going to play these, and hopefully I enjoy this a lot more than I was thinking. Book is overall alright. I'm not super disappointed, but I'm not super thrilled about it either. If you managed to make this video all the way to the end and tolerate my barely coherent rambling, I thank you very much for listening. Maybe leave it a like. But if you think I'm a disappointment to my parents, then smash that dislike button and let me know down in the comments. Until next time, have a good day.